Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered why, even after studying English for years, you still pause before speaking? You know the words, you understand the question, but then you stop, you think about grammar, you translate words in your head. You try to make the perfect sentence, and by the time you are ready, the moment is gone. The other person has already moved on. Today, I want to show you a different way, a way to speak English faster, more naturally, and with more confidence. The secret is simple. Think less. Speak more. Stay with me, because in this video, I will show you exactly how to train your brain to stop overthinking, start speaking, and finally enjoy using English in real life. By the end, you will have tools you can use today and every single day after. Chapter E. Why thinking too much stops you from speaking. Let me tell you about one of my students, Maria. She was very good at English. She knew a lot of vocabulary. She understood almost everything I said in class. She did her homework well. But when I asked her a question, she always paused. She looked at the ceiling, she looked down at her notebook, she opened her mouth, then closed it. Finally, after 10 seconds, she said a sentence. The sentence was correct, but the conversation had already moved on. Your stoel lacked or. Mariam told me later. I know the answer in my head, but I am busy thinking about the right words. I want it to be perfect. This happens to so many learners. Maybe it happens to you. You understand what the other person is saying. You know what you want to say, but you stop to check grammar in your mind. You think about each word. You translate from your native language into English. And by the time you finish thinking, the moment is gone. The other person is already talking about something else. You feel frustrated. You think, why am I so slow? Why can't I speak like I think in my own language? There is a big difference between thinking to communicate and thinking to translate. Thinking to communicate is natural. It is when you know your idea and you just express it, even if it is not perfect. You don't stop to check every little detail, you just speak. But thinking to translate is different. You hear a sentence. You translate it to your language. You think of your answer in your language, and then you translate that answer back into English. This takes time, and the more you do it, the slower you get. It's like driving a car, but stopping every 10 meters to check the map. You will reach your destination, and sometimes you will stop so much that you feel tired and you want to give up. The same thing happens when you speak English. If you stop too much, you lose your energy, your confidence, and your chance to speak naturally. Let's be honest. Overthinking is a habit. You learned English in a way that made you focus on correctness first. In school, your teacher corrected every mistake. In exams, you had to write perfect answers. So now, when you speak, you try to do the same. But conversation is not an exam. In real life, people don't wait for you to give a perfect answer. They want a natural, fast response. That is why fluency is not about perfection. It is about flow. Think about your own language. Do you speak perfectly every time? Probably not. You make small mistakes. You stop and start again. You change words in the middle of a sentence. But you keep going. You don't stop to think about every word. That's why you can speak quickly and confidently. Confidently, fitly. If you can learn to do this in English, you will speak more naturally. I want you to remember something important. People don't remember your small grammar mistakes. Though, they remember your ideas, your tone, your smile, your energy. So if you spend all your time thinking about grammar, you are putting your focus in the wrong place. Instead, focus on keeping the conversation alive. That is what fluency really means. Maria learned this lesson after I gave her a challenge. For 1 week, I told her, when I ask you a question, you must answer in 3 seconds. No thinking about grammar. No translating. Just speak. At first, she felt scared. She said some wrong words. She made some grammar mistakes. But she also spoke faster. After 3 days, she told me, I feel more free. My brain is not so busy. After 2 weeks, her sentences were not only faster, they were also better. Why? Because speaking without overthinking gave her brain the chance to practice making sentences naturally. I want you to imagine a moment. You are in a conversation in English. Someone asks you, "What did you do yesterday?" Normally, you might stop, translate, think of the correct tense, and then answer. But this time, you just speak, "Yesterday I go to the park." Incow, went to the park with my friend. No, we played football. Yes, you fixed a small mistake while talking, but you kept going. You didn't stop. The conversation continued. You felt relaxed. That is the power of speaking without thinking too much. So I want to ask you, has this ever happened to you? You knew the answer but couldn't say it in time? You had the idea in your mind, but by the time you spoke, the moment was gone? If yes, then this video is for you. Because in the next chapters, we are going to learn exactly how to stop overthinking, how to stop translating, and how to make speaking English feel as easy as speaking your own language. The journey starts with understanding this. Speaking is not about having perfect grammar before you open your mouth. It is about training your brain to react automatically in English, just like it does in your own language. And that is exactly what we will do together, step by step. Chapter R. The science behind speaking without thinking. Have you ever noticed how a small child learns to speak? They don't study grammar rules. They don't open a textbook. They don't stop and think, should I use past tense or present perfect? No. They listen. They repeat. They make mistakes. They try again. And slowly, their brain starts to connect sounds, words, and meaning. This is how humans are designed to learn a language, not by thinking about every word, but by letting the brain create automatic connections. When you speak your own language, you don't think about every sentence before saying it. You don't stop and imagine the grammar chart in your mind. You just speak. Why? Because your brain already has thousands of ready-made patterns stored. When someone says something to you, your brain quickly matches it to one of those patterns and gives you an instant answer. Answer. This happens in less than a second. It feels natural. It feels automatic. But in English, For many learners, the brain doesn't yet have enough ready-made patterns. So instead of answering instantly, you try to build the sentence from zero. First, you understand the meaning in English. Then you translate it into your language. Then you think of your answer in your language. Then you translate it back to English. That's a long process. It's no wonder it feels slow. Scientists who study language learning call this processing time. A. The faster your brain processes English, the faster you speak. But here is the good news. You can train your brain to process English faster. And the way to do it is not by studying more grammar rules. It's by creating a bank of ready-made patterns and phrases in your mind. Just like a child does. Think of it like sports. A football player doesn't stop to think, I should move my left leg here, my right arm here, during a game. They have trained their body so much that their movements are automatic. Speaking English is the same. You need to train your mouth, your ears, and your brain to work together so that sentences come out naturally. Thinking, Ahmed, one of my students, Ahmed, used to freeze. Whenever someone asked him a question in English, he told me, I need time to think of the sentence. But I noticed that he already knew a lot of English. The problem was not knowledge, it was speed. So I gave him a simple exercise. Every day, listen to a short sentence in English, all disco quoi. Repeat it out loud without pausing, and try to say it faster each time. Within a month, Ahmed could answer simple questions instantly. Why? Because he had trained his brain to react automatically, without going through the slow process of translation. Patterns through repetition. If you hear and say the same type of sentence many times, your brain starts to predict the next word before you even think about it. Teepee. That's why language learners, who watch a lot of English movies, listen to songs, or do daily speaking practice often improve faster. Their brain is absorbing these patterns without them even realizing it. I want you to try a small experiment right now. I will say a sentence, and you repeat it after me immediately, without stopping to think. Ready? I'm learning English every day. Did you say it? Good. Now again, but a little faster. I'm learning English faster. I'm learning English every day. You see, when you do this many times, the sentence becomes a reflex. You don't think about grammar or vocabulary. Your mouth just knows what to say. This is why overthinking kills fluency. If you are always building sentences word by word, your brain never gets the chance to store them as a ready-made chunk. And if you don't have ready-made chunks, you can't speak fast. So the science is simple. To speak without thinking, you need to feed your brain with patterns, repeat them, and use them in real situations. The more you do this, the less you will translate, and the faster your brain will respond. But remember, this is not about speaking like a robot. It's about speaking naturally. That means sometimes you will make small mistakes. That's okay. Even native speakers make mistakes every day. The goal is to keep the flow of conversation alive. Let me ask you, have you ever had a moment where English just came out without thinking? Maybe you answered a question quickly, or you said a phrase without planning it. How did that feel? That feeling is your brain working automatically. Our goal is to make that happen more often, not once a week, but every time you speak. In the next chapter, we will talk about one of the biggest obstacles to fast speaking, the translation habit, and how to break it. Poor. This habit is the main reason so many learners take too long to answer in English. Once you understand how to stop translating, your speed will increase almost instantly. Chapter 10. Breaking the translation habit. In the last chapter, we talked about how your brain can learn to speak English without thinking by creating ready-made patterns. But there is something that slows this process down. For almost every learner I meet, the habit of translating. Let me tell you about a student I taught many years ago. His name was Ravi. Ravi was smart, hardworking, and very serious about his studies. But whenever I asked him a question in English, I could see his eyes move a little as he thought. He told me later, teacher, I first hear your sentence in English. Then I change it to my language in my head. Then I think of my answer in my language. Then I change my answer into English. That is why it takes me so long. This is exactly how many learners speak English, and it is the number one reason they feel slow. Translation is like adding extra steps in your brain before you can speak. The more steps you have, the more time it takes. Imagine you are making tea, but instead of just pouring hot water into the cup, you first walk to another room to get a spoon, rank it, then back to the kitchen for the tea bag, then another room for the sugar. You will still make the tea, but it will take much longer. The translation habit begins early. In school, most English classes focus on changing sentences from your language into English and back again. Teachers often explain English grammar rules in your language. This feels comfortable at first, but it trains your brain to depend on translation. It's like walking with a stick. You can move, but you're not training your legs to walk by themselves. So how do you break this habit? The first step is to make English your first choice in your mind. This means when you hear a word, you don't try to match it to your language. You try to match it to an image, a feeling, or an action. For example, when I say cat, I want you to see a cat in your head, not the word belii, or gato, or neko. The more you connect English words directly to meaning, the less your brain will translate. One exercise I give my students is the no translation rule. For 10 minutes a day, you speak, think, and listen. Only in English. If you don't know a word, you describe it in English instead of switching to your language. Let's say you don't know the word refrigerator. You can say, the big cold box in the kitchen. Yes, it's not perfect, but you are still communicating without translation. And every time you do this, your brain gets better at staying in English mode. Another powerful technique is using pictures instead of words. When you learn new vocabulary, if you are learning the word bicycle, don't write it with your language next to it. Put a picture of a bicycle. Your brain will start to connect the sound bicycle directly to the image. This is how children learn, and it is much faster. I remember when Ravi tried this method. At first it was difficult. He kept wanting to go back to his language, but after 2 weeks of practicing the no translation rule, something changed. Dija. One day in class, I asked him, "What did you eat for breakfast?" And he answered instantly, "I had bread and eggs." He smiled and said, "Teacher, I didn't translate this time." That was a big step for him, and it can be for you too. Now, I want you to test yourself right now. I'm going to say 3 things. I want you to see them in your mind and say the English word without thinking of your language. Ready? A tree. A phone, a cup of coffee. Did you do it? If you saw the picture in your mind instead of a word in your language, you are already breaking the habit. Of course, this takes time. Translation is a habit you have built for many years, so you won't stop in one day. But even a little progress each day makes a big difference. Think of it like learning to ride a bicycle without training wheels. At first you wobble, but soon you balance naturally. The key is consistency. Practice the no translation rule every day, even if it's only for 5 minutes. Look at pictures, describe them in English, and try to connect words directly to meaning. Speak to yourself in English about what you see, hear, and feel. The more you stay in English mode, the less you will translate. Let me ask you, when you speak English, do you translate first? If yes, how long have you been doing it? Tell me in the comments, because the moment you become aware of it, you can start changing it. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about how to build automatic English sentences so you can answer instantly without creating the sentence from zero in your mind. This will make you even faster, and it's one of the most exciting parts of this method. Chapter 44. Building automatic English sentences. In the last chapter, we learned how breaking the translation habit can speed up your speaking, but now we face another challenge. Can't. Even if you stop translating, you might still need to build your sentences from zero. This takes time, and in conversation, time is everything. So, how can we make sentences come out faster? The answer is sentence patterns. Sentence patterns are like ready-made roads in your brain. Imagine you are driving to a place you know well. You don't stop to ask for directions. You don't check your GPS every minute. You just go. That's what sentence patterns do for your speaking. They give your brain a familiar path so you can get to your message quickly, every word, without. Think about how you speak your own language. You don't create brand new sentences every time. You use patterns you have said thousands of times before. For example, in English, patterns like I want to, I like to, I'm going to, can you, I don't like. These are the skeletons of sentences. You can fill them with any words you want. Let's take I want to. You can say I want to eat. I want to sleep. I want to travel. I want to learn English, and so on. Once your brain knows the pattern, you don't have to think of the pattern. You don't have to think about the grammar. You just change the last word or two. One of my students, Fatima, was always slow to answer questions. When I taught her about sentence patterns, something amazing happened. She memorized 10 basic patterns and practiced them every day. Soon, when I asked her, "What do you want to do this weekend?" she instantly replied, "I want to go to the park." No pause, no thinking, no translating, just a smooth answer. Here's how you can build automatic sentences yourself. Semdrient. Step E. Choose Wu-to. Zero common patterns. These could be things you say often in daily life. For example, I need to. I'm looking for my DAC. It's time to, I'm not sure if step R, practice with many endings. Take one pattern and fill it with as many different endings as possible. Example, I- I'm, I'm going to, I'm going to eat dinner. I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to start my homework. I'm going to sleep early tonight. Step San. Say them quickly, without stopping. Don't check your grammar in your head. Just keep the flow. Step Z. Use them in real life. When you talk to someone, try to start your sentences with these patterns. Over time, they will become automatic. This is how your brain builds shortcuts. Instead of starting from nothing, you have a ready-made start to your sentence, and your brain only has to think about the last part. This makes you much faster. Let's try one together right now. I'll give you a pattern, and you give me a quick ending in your mind. No writing, just speaking. Ready? Pattern, I like to. Now you say something, I like to, and finish it. Did you do it? Good. Now do 3 more endings with the same pattern. See how easy it becomes when you repeat? This is the same technique professional speakers and even actors use. They don't think about every single word. They rely on patterns they have practiced. They have practiced. In English, if you have strong patterns and you can use them automatically, you can answer most simple questions without thinking. Of course, you can also make your patterns more advanced over time. Once I like to feels easy, you can use one of my favorite things to do is, or what I enjoy most is, buzz. But at the beginning, keep it simple. The goal is speed, not complexity. I remember when Fatima first used this in a real conversation outside class. She told me, "Teacher, my friend asked me to do. You want to watch a movie?" And I said, "I want to watch a comedy." Without even thinking, it felt natural. That is the feeling you are looking for. Sentences coming out like water flowing, without pushing or forcing. Caser, enforcing. So here is your challenge. Pick one sentence pattern today and use it at least 5 times in the next Artesief hours. It can be with friends, family, or even by talking to yourself. For example, if you choose I need to, you could say, I need to eat lunch, I need to go to the store, I need to finish my work, and so on. By the end of the day, that pattern will feel more natural. Let me ask you, have you ever had a time when you answered quickly in English and it surprised you? That's your brain using a pattern without you realizing it. The more you practice this, the more it will happen. In the next, we will move to another key part of speaking without thinking. Listening your way to faster speaking. This step will show you how listening carefully can actually prepare your brain to speak instantly, because the sentences you hear often will start to come out of your mouth automatically. Chapter Wove. Listening your way to faster speaking. Have you ever noticed how children learn to speak? They do not start with grammar books. They do not sit with a pen and paper, writing down rules. They start with listening. They hear their parents. They hear people around them. They hear words again and again until those words feel natural. This is exactly how you can train your brain to speak faster in English. Listening is not just a skill. Listening is the secret doorway to speaking without thinking too much. When you listen every day, something interesting happens in your brain. Your mind begins to store ready-made sentences. These are sentences you do not have to build from zero. You do not need to think about grammar. You do not need to translate. The moment you want to say something, your brain already has a sentence ready. You just take it and use it. This is how native speakers speak so quickly. They are not building every sentence from the beginning. They are using pieces they have heard many times before. Imagine you are watching a slow English podcast. The speaker says, "I'm not sure, but I think dabala." You hear it again the next day, and again the next week. Without even trying, you remember it. One day, someone asks you a question in English. You do not freeze. You do not try to translate. Your brain jumps in and gives you that sentence, "I'm not sure, but I think." You have spoken without thinking. This is the magic of listening. You do not need hours of listening to get results. Even Arcer's minutes a day can make a huge difference. But it is important to choose the right kind of listening. If the audio is too fast or too difficult, your brain will get tired and confused. For beginners, start with short clips. 2 or 3 minutes is enough. Listen to slow English podcasts. Listen to people who speak clearly. And the most important part, do not just listen once. Listen to the same clip again and again. Every time you repeat, your brain becomes more comfortable with the sounds, the rhythm, and the words. Let me tell you about Maria, a learner from Brazil. She used to freeze in conversations. She told me, "I know the words, but I can't speak fast." I asked her to try something different. No more long grammar sessions. No more reading alone. For 1 month, she only had one goal: listen for Arce's minutes every day and repeat what she heard. She chose a slow English. She listened to one short story 3 times in the morning and 3 times in the evening. Sometimes she spoke along with the audio. Sometimes she paused the audio and repeated the sentence herself. After just 3 weeks, Maria noticed something amazing. Her friend asked her, "What do you think about this?" And without planning, without translating, she said, "Well, I think it's a great idea." She laughed because she remembered that sentence came from her podcast. She had heard it many times. It was now part of her speaking. You can do the same. You do not need expensive courses. You do not need complicated lessons. You just need a small daily listening routine. For example, Choose a short video on YouTube with subtitles. First, watch it with subtitles and understand the meaning. Then, watch it without subtitles and focus only on listening. Then, watch again, pausing after every sentence and repeating it. You will be surprised how quickly these sentences start to live in your brain. Let's try something right now. I will say a short sentence slowly. I want you to repeat after me, out loud. Ready? I'm learning to speak English every day. Say it again. I'm learning to speak English every day. Good. Now here's another. I can speak faster if I practice listening. One more time. I can speak faster if I practice listening. When you do this while watching a video, you are training your brain and your mouth together. You are building a direct connection between what you hear and what you say. And every time you repeat a sentence you hear, you are making it part of your natural speaking. So remember this. Listening is not passive. It is active training for speaking. If you make it a daily habit, you will notice a change in just a few weeks. You will speak faster. You will speak with less hesitation. And you will not need to think about every word before saying it. Has this ever happened to you? You were watching a movie in English, and suddenly you spoke a line without planning? That is the power of listening. That is the future waiting for you if you start today. Chapter Lug. Speaking practice that works anywhere. One of the biggest myths in learning English is that you need a partner, a teacher, or a classroom to practice speaking. But here's the truth. You can practice speaking English anywhere, at any time, without waiting for someone else. And one of the most powerful techniques for this is called self-talk. Self-talk simply means talking to yourself in English, describing what you see, what you do, and what you feel in real time. It might sound a little strange at first, but it's actually how many successful language learners train their brains to think and speak faster. Imagine you are walking in the park. Instead of just thinking in silence, you start saying in English, I am walking. I see green trees. I hear birds singing. The sun is shining. The air feels fresh. What are you doing here? You're not translating from your native language. You're speaking directly in English. And the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. Let's try it together right now. I'll demonstrate exactly how I do it. I am sitting at my desk. I am talking to you through this camera. I can see my notebook on the table. My phone is next to it. I am holding my pen. I am thinking about the next sentence I will say. That's it. Simple. Everyday sentences, no pressure, no grammar stress. You are training your brain to stay in English mode. Why does this work so well? Because when you practice self-talk, you are creating the same connection between thought and speech that native speakers have. Oh. You don't give your brain the chance to switch to your first language. Instead, your brain learns to express ideas instantly in English. Over time, you'll find yourself speaking without hesitation. Because you've been practicing this flow every day. The best part? You can do self-talk anywhere. While you cook, I am cutting the onions. I am turning on the stove. The water is boiling. While you clean, I am sweeping the floor. I am moving the chair. I am folding the clothes. Even when you're stuck in traffic, I am waiting for the light to turn green. There is a bus in front of me. The driver looks tired. Every moment becomes a practice opportunity. I once knew a learner who didn't have friends or classmates to practice with, but she became fluent in just 1 year using this method. Every day, for 2 minutes. She described her actions in English while doing chores. At first, she struggled to find the right words, but after a few months, her mind started giving her the sentences automatically. She could talk about her day without thinking too much. People around her were surprised. They thought she had been taking expensive classes. But no, she was just using self-talk consistently. Here's an important tip. Don't worry about making mistakes when you do self-talk. The goal here is not perfect grammar. The goal is to build speed and confidence. If you don't know a word, skip it or replace it with something simple. For example, if you don't know the word microwave, you can say I put the food in the hot machine. Later, you can learn the exact word. The key is to keep talking without stopping. Now, let's make this fun and interactive. I want you to try a challenge. After this video ends, spend just 2 minutes doing self-talk about your surroundings. Look around and describe everything you see, hear, and do. Don't stop. Don't translate. Just keep the words flowing. Then, come back to this video and write in the comments how it went. Did you feel nervous? Did you run out of words? Or did you surprise yourself by speaking more than you expected? Remember, self-talk is one of the easiest and most powerful tools you have. It requires no money, no partner, and no schedule. All it needs is your voice and a little bit of courage. Do it daily, and you'll notice a big change in your speaking speed, your confidence, and your ability to stay in English mode without overthinking. The sooner you start, the sooner your brain will get used to producing English naturally. So don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect place. The perfect time is now, and the perfect place is wherever you are. Chapter Chi, Overcoming the Fear of Mistakes. When it comes to speaking English, fear can feel like a big, heavy wall blocking your words. Imagine this. There's a student named Ali. Heng. He knows English well. He has studied grammar, learned hundreds of words, and even watched English movies without subtitles. But when it's his turn to speak in class, his heart beats fast. His hands sweat. He stays quiet. Why? Because in his mind, a small voice keeps saying, "What if I make a mistake? What if people laugh? What if I sound stupid?" This fear stops him before he even starts. One day, Ali's teacher gave him an assignment that changed everything. The teacher said, "Your homework is to speak English for 5 minutes. And you are not allowed to correct your mistakes." At first, Ali thought it was a joke, but when he tried it, something surprising happened. Without the pressure to be perfect, the words flowed more easily. His sentences weren't perfect, but people understood him. And more importantly, he started to enjoy speaking. This is the secret I want you to understand. Fluency is not born from perfection. It grows from practice. If you wait until every sentence is perfect in your head, you will speak less. If you allow yourself to make small mistakes, you will speak more. And speaking more is what makes you fluent. Think about children learning their first language. They say funny, broken sentences all the time. No one laughs at them. No one says, "Stop talking until you are perfect." Instead, people listen, respond, and help them improve. That's exactly how you should treat your English. As a living, growing skill, not a test where you must score byte. The truth is, mistakes are a sign that you are learning. Every time you make a mistake, you are discovering the edges of your ability. Those edges are where growth happens. If you avoid mistakes, you avoid growth. So instead of hiding from them, face them. Speak, make the error, and keep going. Here's a mindset shift that helped many learners I've taught. Communication is more important than perfection. When you speak English, your goal is not to impress people with perfect grammar. Your goal is to make them understand you. If they understand your message, you have succeeded. The grammar and pronunciation can improve over time. You'd grag. But the ability to speak without freezing, that's the first victory you need. I also want you to try this small challenge. For 1 week, when speaking English, do not stop to fix your sentences. Keep talking, even if you know there's a mistake. You can write the mistake down later and review it, but don't interrupt your speech. There, you'll be amazed at how much more confident and fluent you feel. Another tip: when someone corrects you, say, "Thank you," and keep going. Don't feel embarrassed. Corrections are gifts. They give you a chance to learn something new, but they should never be reasons to stop talking. Now, I want to involve you directly. What's one mistake you make often in English? Maybe you mix up he and she. Maybe you forget to use minuses for third person. Maybe you always say "yesterday I go" instead of "yesterday I went." Share it below in the comments. When you write it, you'll notice something interesting. No one will judge you. In fact, others will say, "Hey, I make that mistake too." And you will feel less alone. Remember, every fluent speaker you admire today, from famous actors to YouTubers, once made mistakes too. They only became fluent because they were willing to sound imperfect before they became good. You can do the same. If you can accept your mistakes, laugh at them, and keep going, you will find that speaking English becomes lighter, easier, and much more fun. Because when fear is gone, your voice is free. And a free voice is a fluent voice. Chapter Ba, the smart way forward. Now that you've seen how each step works, thinking less, speaking more, using sentence patterns, listening daily, practicing self-talk, and accepting mistakes, it's time to put everything together into one clear, simple daily plan. Think of this as your fluency recipe. You don't need to do everything perfectly, but you do need to do it regularly. Fluency doesn't grow in one big jump. It grows like a plant, a little every day. If you give it the right conditions, It will keep growing until you're speaking naturally. Here's how you can combine all these techniques. First, start your day with no translation practice. This means when you wake up, you try to think of your first thoughts in English. It could be as simple as I am opening my eyes. I feel sleepy. I am getting out of bed. By doing this before you talk to anyone in your native language, you train your brain to start in English mode. Even 2 or 3 minutes of this in the morning can set the tone for the rest of your day. Next, use sentence patterns throughout your day. For example, choose 1 or 2 patterns you want to focus on, like I want to, or I'm going to, and use them in as many situations as possible. When you're cooking, say, I'm going to make tea. When you're leaving the house, say, I'm going to the market. This repetition builds automatic recall so you don't have to pause. Pause and think too much later. The more you use these patterns in real life, the faster they become part of your natural speech. Then, make listening a non-negotiable habit. At least once a day, for Je Wu to Arsers minutes. Listen to something in English that matches your level. It could be a slow English podcast, a short video, or even a scene from a movie you like. But don't just listen passively. Repeat short phrases out loud. Imagine you're an actor copying the lines. This listen and repeat method gives you ready-made responses in your mind, so when someone talks to you, the words will come out more easily. Add self-talk whenever you can. If you're walking, describe the street. Nah. If you're cooking, describe what's in your pan. It might feel silly at first, but it's actually one of the most powerful ways to keep your brain in English mode. Self-talk is private, so you don't need to worry about mistakes or shyness. You are your own best speaking partner. Available Chiefenger Arser Sooth. Finally, and maybe most importantly, keep the mindset that mistakes are part of the journey. Every mistake you make is like a step forward, not backward. You don't have to sound perfect. You just have to be understood. Think of children learning their first language. They make grammar mistakes all the time. But they still communicate and get better every day. You can do the same. If you put all of this into one plan, it could look like this million stary. Morning. Artisan minutes, Kampfen, no translation, self-talk. Throughout the day. Use 1 or 2 sentence patterns in real situations. Anytime. Quick self-talk about what you're doing or seeing. Even a sure Arsers minutes hem listening practice. Repeating out loud. All day except mistakes. Focus on communicating and keep going. If you follow this for Sensors days, you will notice real changes. You will think faster in English. You will hesitate less. You will remember words more easily because you're using them daily, and you'll feel more confident speaking with others. Even if your grammar isn't perfect. So here's my challenge to you. Set a speaking goal for the next Sensor days. It could be, I will practice self-talk every morning, or I will listen to English for Arsers minutes daily. Write your goal in the comments below right now. Then, after Sensor days, come back and update your comment to share your progress. This way, You keep yourself accountable, and you inspire other learners who might be starting today. Remember, you don't have to be perfect to speak. You just have to speak. The sooner you start, the sooner you'll get there. Keep going. Your future fluent self is waiting,